Um, we should say for the audience that are watching this, we're doing these first series of interviews with the ambassadors for the Community Hub of Abstrato. I'm overseeing them. We're doing them for 15, 20 minutes. The reason why they're so short is because if I'm terrible at this or annoying, then the audience has only got to watch it for 15, 20 minutes. After that, we can then bring someone else in or we'll find some other solution. But videos are definitely going to stay. Now, on that basis, let's talk about David and how you got into SAM and ITAM. Because I know we talk about ITAM now, but when you first started, it was very much the focus on SAM, right? When was that?
Absolutely, yeah.
2006, did you say?
Yeah, so 2006 was when it was my father wanted me to go through some software boxes because back in the day it was all software boxes, right? It was CD cases, those
Yeah,
big cardboard boxes that had a proof of entitlement certificate if they were
yeah.
from Microsoft, and some other vendors, like serial numbers actually on the back of the box, etc. Basically, for a few days a week, he just wanted me to come in, jot down all of the serial numbers, put them in a centralized spreadsheet, and then he had a cupboard in his office that he wanted organized and sorted out in like alphabetical order by vendor. Yeah, log all the serial numbers, get scans of all of the proof of entitlement records, put it all in a centralized area. So I did that in 2006, and venomously told him that I would not. Oh, go on,
Was
yeah.
your dad an IT manager or in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
I
he
just
worked for
had a
this.
picture of him at home with all this different licensing and
Yeah.
software.
No, so he's been in IT like his whole life. He worked for the same company for 40 plus years until he retired a few years ago.
Wow,
He was there, yeah, the whole time. And yeah, he
that's
was like,
impressive.
he had a huge scope as well. It was a smallish organization, but you don't, until you actually get into IT, you don't realize the scope that he had. Like he was doing everything, managing the service desk, sorting out all the servers, floor plans, air conditioning in server rooms, the server room itself, and then
Yeah.
SAM and licensing back in the day. But yeah, it got to the point where we'd done all of that. We'd got the system in his cupboard, etc. And I just told him, I said, I'm not doing IT. It's like, no, I really want to work in HR. HR is where I wanted to work.
Are you
Um,
in HR, people person?
yeah, that fortunately, because it was with his company, they used to do commercial trainee type roles where you went around different areas and you did a 2 year thing. They stopped it the year that I wanted to do it, which is kind of a blessing in the end because it
For us,
pointed
yeah.
me back down to in 2008. It was like, okay, well, we've got a new technology in now. You remember what you did a few years ago? Do you want to come in? I was still studying at the time. I was like, do you want to come in? Again, a few days a week. Those few days a week turned into full time. The weekly, yeah, we'll get you back next week, turned into 9 months and full on Sam basically. And I got the bug.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just the bug, the ITAM Sam bug, just bit me and bit me hard.
What bit was it, do you think? So for me, it was always the here's a mess. Here's an absolute mess, and we've got to get from A to B, and it's got to
Yeah,
be as quick as
yeah.
possible. And I used to love, as a young consultant, I was kind of all right at selling, but I loved going in and doing that kind of fact finding and then figuring out the most direct route for success. What was it for you?
Do you know, a lot of it was the 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 visual organization of things in the tool that they had. It was the seeing all of the licenses information in there, seeing the ELPs in there, making sure that all the right costs were there. It was all of the kind of OCD management around it. And then it was, once everything was in there, it was like, okay, so where can we improve? I was like, oh, dude, I have no idea, mate. You've just asked me to put some stuff in a spreadsheet. Now you're asking me where we can improve. So it was like learning about license optimization. And it was like, so if someone's not using something, we can actually get that back and then give it to someone else instead of buying a new one. So you're
Yeah,
actually saving money. I was like, oh, okay, right.
yeah,
Pennies dropping here. Okay, so let's have a look at some internal. Didn't know what internal audits was until you Google it and have a look. You used to get magazines as well. He used to keep the IT magazines that used to, it used to be spam. But when he saw anything to do with licensing or SAM, it'd be like, here you go, have a look at that. And it was
that's cool.
doing the software audits, doing the renewals, even starting to do renewals. I was having calls with Microsoft. I had no idea what I was doing. I was talking to them about Windows Server license renewals. I was like, no idea what I'm doing here. I didn't say that obviously on the calls, but I was like acting as if I did with Google open, going, yeah, licensed by processor. Yeah, we've only got X amount of process because it was pre moving to cores. And honestly, it was just that, okay, whoa, hold on. Everyone's got software here. There's budgets. I can save money on this. I can implement certain things like processes and controls that will not only save the money in the first round, but maintain those savings every year
Yeah.
to make sure that people are only requesting what they need. People aren't bringing their own licensing. That if it's not being used for a certain period of time, that we get it back, etc. And yeah, it was just that kind of bug got me. I became obsessed with saving money. I became obsessed with processes and documentation and controls, and it just spiraled from there, to be honest.
I think it's what you've just run through there is what if you talk with a vast majority of people that have been doing for 15, 20 years, it's very similar. Although I think the cool tie with, doing something with your dad,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool and
I
nice.
like I got incredible. It was incredible to work with your dad, but then at the same time, it set an unrealistic expectation for other jobs, right?
Yeah.
Because he was the boss, because he gave me such a free rein, because I was the only one doing Sam there. It was very much a case of I was pitching him things that were way above my station, bearing in mind I had no experience, but he was giving me that opportunity to go, I want
Great.
to implement this process to do that. And he was going, okay, yeah, send me the document, do whatever, I'll check over it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then that set an unrealistic expectation when I went into another role where I'm used to being the only SAM person there. I was the one that was saying which audits we were doing. I was the one leading renewals. So then going and being an administrator that was literally almost like pencil pushing every day. You were just a number in a large organization.
Yeah.
And that was a real. I didn't expect that because my working experience was like, okay, I trust you, you're the SAM person. Just, obviously get me to sign stuff off to go. And no, you're one of 6, 7 people. You're the lowest rung. You're an administrator. It was like, yo, this is not for me. I'm used to like being the one
Maybe
driving
that
things.
was a good thing then. I mean, doing that with your dad, where he gave you that freedom and ability to, look and find a problem and then apply a solution
Yeah,
and then execute on it is probably the reason why you're doing what you're doing now. Because, well, you just
absolutely.
said, you go into many organizations and SAM for a lot of large organizations is about, right, we need a SAM team and you basically are going to be order fulfillment. So when someone wants a piece of software, you manage that process. And that's what we're going to do for SAM. And really, that's not SAM, that's just
Yeah,
ordering software and keeping like a record of it. But it's not doing SAM how you do
yeah,
it or how we do it. That's a really
absolutely.
interesting point. So you've got a lot to thank for your dad in that
Oh,
respect.
100%. He's hero status. And also then seeing, because obviously you're used to him going to work, but actually seeing what he does every day and the level of respect he had. And I worked out in with the service desk guys, and it was honestly every day was just the amount of probably he definitely knows the amount of laughs and stuff that we had out there. Again, it just set an unrealistic expectation. Like it was like people were kind of like my age and a bit older, and we just all got on really well. And it was like, oh my god, work's amazing. Is this what it's like? You get paid to do this? And then I got a proper job where, yeah, it was a SAM admin role, and I really found that tough because, like I said, I was in a team. I could see everything that I'd done before could be done there as well. It
Yeah.
was a case of there's so much opportunity here, but there was loads of other stakeholders involved, and they all had their arms around certain
Yeah.
bits, and there was a hierarchy in the SAM team. And there was one lady that I worked with who had quite a bit of SAM experience, and I used to talk to her about what I'd done before, and she wasn't the manager, but she was like the manager's right hand lady. And she was awesome because she was like, look, I know you're frustrated here. I get it. Everything you've told me, you've got huge potential. Just don't get too frustrated here. Just take everything that you're learning, just learn from it, grow from it, build from it. And she really kind of kept me on like okay, this isn't what it's going to be like forever. Like I've had the rose tinted glasses over here of leading Sam to being bottom of the pile as an administrator in a bigger team. She's like, no, just keep going, keep doing your research, keep learning. She was incredible. and then it kind of spiraled us like this isn't for me. I'm not. I can't just be another number in an organization. I've got to make a difference. This
Yeah.
isn't right for me. And then it kind of it just went from there. It was a case of I got a short-term contract with the Greater London Authority in London when Boris Johnson was mayor. And it was only a short-term thing, but that gave me it was a much smaller team again. I did a lot of really good, ITAM work that kind of validated, okay, what you did with Pops was it works in other
Mm.
organizations. It wasn't just a one trick pony. It's worked here. I learned a lot there as well, and then I applied for a global SAM manager role at the age of 21, 22.
Why
Bearing in
not?
mind I'd only had, well, yeah, I was like, what's the worst can happen? Bearing in mind I'd only had like 3 or 4 years worth of experience then. And I got to the interview and they just basically said, what would you do? And I just told them what I'd do. And I got the job. I couldn't believe I'd gone from like admin to global SAM manager in like a year or even less than that. And again, it was a design house. They did a lot of designing for football stadiums and the Olympics and stuff. It was literally just after the Olympics, and again, it was such an awesome place to learn about the wider global scale of SAM. Again, it was really SAM focused because back in the day, Ham had no love. But
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll touch on why Sam got love, why Ham got love. Sorry, Sam always had the love because of audits. Audits. Compliance, compliance, compliance. And yeah, I learned so much there. I worked for in an amazing team that were like so supportive. It was like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. The VP was like, look, don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you need me, lean on this person. And yeah, just learned so much more about how global organizations work, about how licensing works. Even back then, moving a Microsoft agreement to America was like a big cost savings because of the
Yeah.
currency conversion. There was just so many awesome people there, and I learned so much that again just it kept boosting the confidence. And I was like looking around like there's no one shouting about this. Where's the why is no more people knowing about Sam? Why is no more people talking about it? Why are they not sharing what they're doing? And that's when I contacted the ITAM review and was like, I need an outlet. Look, I've only been doing this like 4 years. I think it was like 4 years now, but I need an outlet. I need to tell people what
Yeah.
we're doing because someone else might find it useful. And then yeah, it all went a bit mad from there really. And that's but yeah, the start of it was very mixed. It was amazing working for Pops, a massive reality check on, okay, not everywhere's the same as where you've been, to build back
Yeah.
up again. But that's how careers go, right? I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. I've worked with some absolutely amazing, as a full-time employee, some amazing companies, met amazing people who I still talk to today, but then also had some not so amazing experiences where, you're told we've only hired Sam or ITAM because we've had an audit, and just sit there and yeah, just comply with whatever we're telling you to do. But
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason, right? As long as you learn from it, you can apply that in, as you go along now. And yeah, I wouldn't change any of the experiences that I've had because it's put me where I am now,
I think it
even if
sounds
some of
like,
them were really hard.
no, they, yeah, very true. I think it sounds like, obviously doing what you did with your dad is a great introduction to any area of work, and it just kind of ignited something. And probably, so there's a few people that have joined the platform, and for them going out as a contractor or a freelancer is a huge decision, something that's
Yeah,
taken them, years to finally
yeah,
make the jump. I think for you at that younger age, where sometimes you haven't got a great deal to lose when you're in your, like 19, 20,
yeah,
and if having that freedom and then kind of almost having it taken away, where you've had the passion ignited, it was kind of almost a no-brainer that you would end up contracting. But it's interesting you talking about where you're saying, you're on the phone and you didn't have a clue what you were recommending around the Microsoft. So my first IT job was at the Federation Against Software Theft, and I remember they kind of stuck a badge of consultant, and I really didn't know what I was talking about, David. Like, I remember the CEO at the time was chatting to me. Someone had just joined, and he was like, "Oh, we're gonna be doing Unix audits," and no. I'm like, "What's Unix?"
yeah, yeah,
Well, And I remember him saying, "Did we check to see if you did IT?" And I was more of an account. It started as an account management role, then it kind of moved into consult. But I was really uncomfortable for the first few years having that badge. But it made me laugh listening to you with that. I
Yeah,
think the other thing, if you look at, I think Ham is just as important as Sam now for different
yeah,
reasons. But the thing that I look at in our world is there's very few organizations that can survive without software, right? And if you look at an IT budget, software is either number one, number two, or number three. It's always up there. And yet so many organizations struggle to understand what software they've got, where it sits in relation to the hardware, and then how it correlates back to a cost or a basic licensing set of terms. That's the bit for me that always feels like there's always work to do in our industry, and
yeah,
it's changing rapidly. I think you and I and a few others have talked about this. The amount of business applications that were available when you started 2006 and 7 to now 20, it's like triple, 4 or 5 times more. It's kind of like procurement and IT need. And I go back to what you were talking about with your dad, where you were saying my dad, okay, the organization wasn't a 50,000 user organization, but he had to manage every single part of that.
yeah,
And I remember those conversations with IT managers where they were managing the network, they were understanding. You talking about like shoe boxes. I remember talking with IT managers when I was at Fast, and they would keep their licenses in the shoebox, and they literally had to manage every aspect, or at least understand
yeah.
every aspect of IT. I think that's kind of it's changed now because there's a lot more niche and sectored down parts of IT. Whereas I think 20, 30 years ago, an IT manager really had to know a
Everything.
lot
Yeah,
about, yeah, like everything. Yeah, good
yeah.
word to use.
They
Um,
were the person that you rung if the air conditioning in the server room went off and things got too hot. They were the person if the the access control card system was offline and people couldn't get in. They just seemed to be everything back in the day.
yeah,
Everything.
yeah,
Oh, we
yeah.
need to put some floor plans in place because we're moving desks about. It's like managing electrical cables and wiring and where's this plug going to go? It's like that's mad. You work in IT and you're doing all of this stuff as well. It's crazy.
Mm,
But I
mm.
mean, you mentioned there about ham, right? And we got to talk about the resurgence of ham because it's something that has been crying out for a very long time. There are a lot of organizations that did a big SAM focus. Now, thankfully, although still, again, if you looked at LinkedIn, there's still the push for SAM. But thankfully, we're getting to a point now where it's ITAM, right? It's SAM and it's HAM. We've also got SaaS and we've also got FinOps bolting on. And actually, we've got AI, artificial intelligence, threatening to come into our space as well. But harder asset management, and thankfully, the resurgence was really kind of boosted during the COVID times, right? During the
Yeah.
pandemic. No one was taking ham that seriously before, and maybe or not no one literally, but there was a very few people taking ham seriously. It's a case of no, we got to focus on the software. Okay, but you can't really know where all your software is if you don't know all your hardware.
Yeah.
How do you know all your inventory is coming into your tools? How are you doing the delta between yep, this is what we've purchased, this is what's discoverable, this is what we're missing, this is in a DMZ, etc. If you're not managing hardware, how do you know all your software estate? COVID hit. People were literally taking stuff off desks. Kit was going walkies left, right, and center. I remember coming home from a client on just before the lockdown was initiated with monitors, with free tower desktops, with thin clients. With they were just literally grabbing everything, and then organisations went, "Oh, well, where's the kit gone?
Yeah.
Um, who took what, guys?
Yeah.
Oh no, we don't have a central repository. And then C levels were going, where's everything gone? Who's got a monitor? Who needs a monitor? Who needs a laptop? Who needs a desktop? Who needs a phone? And it's like they didn't have any accurate central repository. So
Yeah.
boom, enter ham. Ham
Yeah.
comes in, and we're still cleaning up a lot of COVID messes even today. We're 4 years past the initial COVID when it hit, and all of the people running away with hardware. And even now, there's still CMDBs, AIMDBs, hardware refresh schedules, etc., that are broken because of that post-COVID stuff. We've got organisations that have got, you know, assets listed in an AMDB that are listed as in use. They haven't been seen since 2020. Where is it then? Oh, we think that was given out for COVID. What do you mean? You're selling me it's in use still? It's in all of your budgeting plans for hardware refreshes, but it's not been online for like 4 years. Why are you budgeting to replace it if you don't know where it is? We've got people that are going, oh, we've got loads of stock of this particular model. Why have you got that? Oh, it was the only thing we could get during COVID, but now no one wants it. Why is it just sat in your storage rooms then? Go and sell it. I've had it. Go get money back for it. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting. So I completely agree with you. And I feel like a lot of organizations didn't take hardware asset management as important. They didn't put it at the top of the priority list next to software because they just looked at their hardware, they amortized it. Once that happened, then fine, you could forget about it. And this still counts for now. If you've got a software publisher and they're coming in to do an audit, they will triangulate data sets. And it's not just about your software. They will focus on your hardware, as you know, well know. And if you don't have a good stronghold on your hardware and the reporting, then they will focus in on that. And so many organizations kind of just forget about the hardware side until something like an audit happens. And then, you know, you've got that particular scenario. One thing that I'm very interested in, I remember going to a conference, I want to say 2016, 2017 or 18, BS 55,000, where you've kind of got this notion of with the Internet of Things and the connectivity, digital transformation, what David would have managed within the realm of IT is now blowing up to the point where there's all sorts of, if you look outside my house, we've got a bit of a gravel drive and then there's a pathway. Every 20 or 30 minutes, you'll see a little robot go past with co-op shopping in it. So we're next to Milton Keynes. So you've got all of these things. Now, it used to just be phone, Surface, laptop, desktop, server. Now, with IoT, there's just so many more hardware assets that are coming under that. And the asset classification or the realms or the scope of hardware asset management is just literally, you can't get your arms around it in some organizations, especially where they're starting to, you know, put in different data sets and fields where they're reporting on things coming back. That for me is a super exciting bit. And I can imagine for you it is as well, because it kind of takes hardware asset management to another level.
So it's more opportunities, right, Steve? It's more, if you want to add something into the ham scope, by all means, bring it in. We can adopt our processes, our policies that we've already got for traditional assets. But again, from ITAM, it's just a more opportunity for, I was going to say me, but for ITAM to go, okay, let's look at this estate. How can we optimize? How can we fine tune? But then also a lot of organizations now are really seeing a lot of value in the future. So a lot of, I mean, for me, it seems simple. It seems like low hanging fruit. It's not hard at all. If you've got the data set up, is hardware budget forecasting, hardware refresh rates. Within your asset management database, it's so easy just to go and get your warranty information, go and get your purchase date. That's all you need to be able to start factoring some of this stuff in. And if you can, all of your procurement data would be useful. But if you don't have that, your end of warranty, any additional support that you've got, and your purchase date, and just start building the life cycle management around that and going, okay, well, this asset's got a 5-year lifespan. So its scheduled retirement is 5 years from the order date. This one's got 7 years, etc. And it's so easy to do. And there's some amazing warranty portals out there that you can just give it all the serial numbers and it'll export everything. And you can really quickly build up a 5, 6, 7-year plan on what needs to be refreshed. And we purchased it at this cost at that time 4 years ago. But now in 2024, the model that we're buying now is this price. So therefore, we predict that your budget refresh in 2027 is going to be around this fee. And it's just so logical. It seems so easy just to get some dates. But when you give that to a VP or a senior director or even a C-level, and you go, I've literally just got all this from the Lenovo portal, the HP portal, etc. Here's your planning for the next X amount of years. Oh, but there's still like 5 or 10% that we're still trying to get data for. They're like sat there like mind blown. It's like, but it's so easy.
Do you know, we should have a message now to all CEOs or IT directors. If you have an outsourced partner and the commercial model is you get charged for how many assets you have under their management, then they need someone like Abstrato and David to come in and do a verification check on just how many hardware assets are being managed by the outsourcer. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, but we used to see so many large outsourced organizations do SAM and SAM and HAM. I mean, I just used to call it software and asset management, and I was being lazy because it just covered off both, but it never really kind of took off. So, you got the clear definition of both. But for a lot of outsourcers, they would get forced to do software asset management and hardware asset management. And it's kind of a little bit like, it's difficult for them because you've got one side of their business where they want to be able to manage as many assets as possible because that's how they get to bill their client and make money. And then there's someone in that organization that's got to do SAM and ITAM. Well, it's a massive conflict of interest. And the amount of times we'd go into organizations and do those small checks and find maybe 15, 25% of hardware. You've probably, you've done more of that than I have recently. It's frightening.
I've gone walkies as well. That's the thing with HAM. What I love about HAM as well is with software now, because a lot of it's subscription based. At the end of the subscription, it's just a case of, okay, well, we don't budget it for next year. Great. But with hardware, again, because the data side of things is so much easier than a software side of things, because there's there's almost a lot less information that you need to be able to actually provide some valuable data. Is then at the end of the life, if you've managed it correctly, if your users have read your emails to say, don't put damn stickers on the devices that you want to sell, don't put coffee cups near them, don't get those rings on the soft shell when you put
just
a coffee
moving
mug
my
on
coffee
top
cup now, actually. In a way.
Please move it well away. And then you get that lovely added bonus at the end of it when you go through the ITAD process, and then they give you a credit note. You are getting actual money back from something that you have rinsed for the last 3 to 4 years that you've looked after because you've got your ITAM process in place, and then you're getting money back for it at the end of it, which goes back into the hardware budget. So then suddenly you're doing ITAD every quarter or every 3 months or whatever the case may be, and it's going into the hardware budget, and then you're spending less on hardware, and then you're giving more money back to the CIO and CFO at the end of the year. They're going, wow, this is amazing. And yeah, that was ITAM. And by the way, we're tracking all of this as cash savings and cost avoidances, by the way. And here's how much we've done over the last year on software, hardware. Oh, and we've also had a look at your cloud infrastructure, and we've utilized some of our existing processes to turn stuff off that didn't need to be running. And here's how much that would have cost you over in the year. But yeah, the fact that so many people are sleeping on ITAD because they can't be bothered. It's much easier for someone to just come and collect it and get rid of it, and they don't charge us, we don't charge them, it's just gone. But especially on like the Apple side of things, the newer devices now, because they're all looking, and as I look around at the portfolio of a MacBook and various laptops and tablets, because they are being built with visuals in mind now. They're slimmer, they're sleeker. MacBooks can run for a heck of a long time. The resale value now is a lot more than it was back in the day because it was very obvious something was old. That laptop was big, it was chunky. Whereas now they're all, cool colors, and they're all thin, and they're all fast. There's so much more value in at the end of it. And it's just it's a really simple open goal that ITAM can provide so much value for. Sure, you've got to find the right ITAD partner. You've got to make sure they've got all the ASA, that they've got all of the ISO certifications, that they're carbon neutral, that they're all of that fun stuff, which is, I actually enjoy doing all of that bit. But then the ongoing profits from hardware, and you can factor that in when you're doing your refresh cycles, where you're going, oh, it's going to cost $2 million to do a hardware refresh every 4 years because you have standardized it. You have actually consolidated it all down. So every 3-4 years is the big hit. But you think of all the hardware assets we're getting back at that time. You can take off X number, hundred of thousands from that through reselling it. And then it becomes a much easier conversation with budget holders now, especially when there's a lot of, we've got to save money. We've really got to save money. People are being let go. There's no hardware budget. The software budget is literally just to renew it as is. If you're then going, well, we're recouping hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in ITAD. No brainer. But Steve, people are sleeping on this, man.
I feel so. I can see why you've been so successful over the last 15 years. This is probably the first
It's
proper
easy
conversation we've
though.
had. Well,
It's
absolutely,
easy.
yeah. But I thought I got animated and excited on the
Oh, sorry,
subject. You're next level. No, no, no. It's been
sorry.
great. I've loved
I'll sit
listening
on
to
my
you.
hands.
And I could probably listen for another 30, 40 minutes. You've been fantastic. Well, the reason why I'm saying that is we've just hit 11 o'clock and I can see one of my team saying, are
Where
you
are
still
you?
here for the call? So
Yeah.
I better shoot off to that.
Yeah,
And
that's
no, but
cool.
I guess I think we've definitely gone over the 20 minutes on this one. But it
Sorry,
was
sorry.
worth it. It was worth it because I know the audience will have loved listening to you. As we were going through some of the things you were talking about, I'm thinking there's another. We've got to get David back on and do a few more videos, and we will do, I think,
Mate, stick
because
me in a room on my own and I can talk about ITAM for literally hours.
well, I think there's probably an interview with your dad. He's got to take some thanks for bringing you into our industry. Listen, before I turn the video off and stop, I just want to take a short moment to say I love the fact that you're an ambassador with Abstrato. I'm really looking forward to having you on the journey as we succeed in this together. Also, really appreciate you taking the time out to be an
That's all
ambassador.
right,
We
mate.
don't want it to cut across your normal daytime job or Luton FC.
Let's
But
not
yeah,
talk about
thank
them
you.
because they're doing terribly at the moment. But no, yeah, no, I'm just flattered that you asked me to get involved, to be honest. And obviously, our branding is very similar colours, so it's a match made in heaven, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've got the whole orange and
Orange, yeah,
blue. I think
gotta
we've
be
got a
done.
bit of purple now coming through on ours.
Oh,
So yeah, 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 yeah,
you need to
yeah.
get the t-shirts. Get a nice
I'm going to.
quarter
Yeah,
zip with the logo embroidered on it. There you
yes,
go.
yeah. That rookie mistake is now going to be no longer. And the next time we're on a video, I'm going to have a t-shirt with the whole logo and
Is that a
stuff.
promise?
Yeah, definitely.
There you
All
go.
right. Listen, thank you very much, David. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Steve. Thank you, mate.
Cheers. Bye bye.